Hey folks, Jessica here. Follow up to my Tower of Babyl overview from this morning. In it, I mentioned that you could just leave some comments if you're having trouble with a specific fight, and I would try and do a follow-up in order to give you some advice. And that's what we're doing. I've got a sense of what fights people are having trouble with, so I'll show you how I do them, and then I'll give you some potential strategy you could use to do them. Additionally, I will also finish up the last of my missions, and yeah, we'll just kill some things. This video is going to be kind of all over the place, so there's your warning, but we'll try and cover everything. Hopefully by then you'll have a better idea of what to do if you're having trouble with this event. So one of the more common questions I've seen isn't about a specific fight, but just about team building in general. How do you approach team building for this fight? And I feel like some of the confusion stems from this ridiculous image they put up, where they suggest that Party 1 should specialize in damage, and Party 2 should specialize in defense, and Party 3 should specialize in support. Here's the thing. That's completely ludicrous. That's not how you should approach team building for this. I know this is going to be real mind-blowing for you guys, but the best teams for this, generally speaking, they're going to be the meta teams. For the most part, the strongest meta teams are the teams that are going to excel at most of the fights in here. How I would suggest you should approach team building is not worry about, oh, do I have a bunch of like defensive characters in here so they can jump in and take the hit? Because that's not how it works. My suggestion would be put together the strongest team you could put together for general content, and then run through each of the fights. Do that for every element. Run through each of the fights. If you want to only build one team, you can do that too. Just run through every fight until you hit a point where you're stuck. Like, until you hit a stumbling point where you just can't kill a boss, or if you're trying to do a mission, you figure out you just don't have the right setup for the mission. Then, from that point, make adjustments. Like, back out, build another team to go with it, and make them suited to plugging that hole in your setup. So don't approach this like super galaxy brain. I'm gonna like have my tank team jump in at the last second with a switch to take the hit, and then switch back and then do deeps. And oh, debuff team's gonna jump in and debuff, and this is like some complicated read. But that's not. That's given this event way too much credit. None of the fights are so complicated that you need to do that. And here's the big thing: you can't really do that, because in this setup here, the issue is it is assuming you can switch at any time. Parties can be switched in and out of battle. Here's the thing. Yes, you can switch parties during battle, but there is a 3-turn cooldown on that switch. So the issue of making a purely defensive team is if you were to switch that defensive team in, they would be stuck in for 3 turns. That means you're just not going to be doing any damage really with your purely defensive team. Additionally, like beyond taking a long time, what that's going to do is cause the fight to go off the rails for various numbers of reasons. Like, yeah, sure, your defensive team's probably not going to die, but they're also not killing the boss. So the boss is probably doing things like building charge diamonds, putting buffs up, your debuffs are falling off. That's generally not a great strategy. So, yes, make good general teams that are as strong as you can possibly make them. See how far you can get. When you stumble, then start thinking about how can I put another team together that will let me solve that specific problem, and break down the fights that way. So another piece of general advice I would give, I've seen a lot of comments from folks that they're sub-level 100, they're on the newer side, they're having a lot of trouble getting through these areas. And here's the thing. I would say you should temper your expectations on how far you can get through this event based on how deep into the game you are, how far progressed your grids are, how robust your rosters are, how complex your understanding of the game's mechanics are. Because if you look at a normal event, like the Shadowverse collab, for example, these are way easier than Tower of Babyl. I would say a player that has some idea of how to build a grid, but is missing a few grid pieces. They've got a handful of SSRs, and they're just running the SSRs they've got, and then some SRs. Could probably clear, like, EX on any of these Shadowverse fights. Maybe EX+. They might struggle with Maniac. And generally be able to do well enough that they can get the mats to farm all the drops from this. That is not the case with Tower of Babel. This is much closer in line with a Proving Grounds. And if you've done Proving Grounds before, you need a pretty strong grid and a good roster of characters in order to clear Proud Plus. I would say that this final stage, especially the final two bosses, are more in line with a Proud Plus boss than any event boss. So temper your expectations. If you're sub level 100, your grid is not built out at all. You're just running random SSR characters, and like your grid pieces are just like event SSRs and a bunch of SRs. Expect to be able to clear the first area, maybe the second area, and then the third area is probably going to be a hard stop for you. But that's just how it's balanced. And also keep in mind that unlike a normal event, this one spans every element in terms of what you'll be required to bring, just by the nature of the different floors and whatnot. So it's really not oriented for a new player, and you know that is tough. But then again, there aren't a lot of events that come out that are specifically geared towards further progressed players exclusively, so you know, it's a little bit of a balance. But yeah, don't get too bummed out if you can't clear this thing. I suspect a lot of people are going to have trouble clearing all these things. That all said, don't get too intimidated if you're on the newer side by this, because you can field up to 12 characters for each of the fights. So even if you're going to struggle a bit, 12 is usually enough manpower that you can just bludgeon a fight to death for the most part. So again, try to get as far as you can in this. Even if you're on the near side, you might surprise yourself. But know when to stop. Don't get too frustrated if you hit a wall that you just can't get past because you're missing some key piece. Let's talk specific fights that might be pain points for folks. I don't think any fight in Layer of Obscured Sands, the first area, is going to be a huge stopper for folks unless you're really early in the game. However, this mission here, clear 4-1 within a turn, might be a stumbling point for a lot of folks, depending on what characters you have access to. For these earlier floors, it's not going to be a huge issue, because as you can see, these are all separate segments. Therefore, they're separate fights, therefore you can bring an entirely different team, start over, just nuke each one of them down with skills or charge attacks, etc. There's tons of ways to clear these first few floors. I don't think anybody's going to be stuck on those. This last one, though, might be a pain point, because as you can see, there's 2 fights in one segment. So this is all one fight. So you're going to have to kill this boss and this boss in the same turn, essentially. So that usually means you gotta bring a lot of skill damage to kill this one, and then either skill damage down the second one or charge attack down, whatever. But that's gonna require certain characters. So let's talk about that. I did do this already in my earlier video, but I'm just gonna talk about it again in case you haven't seen that one or you need a refresher on how the mechanics of this whole Tower of Babyl thing works. First thing to note, I'm not going to take a Bonito. You can, but there's an issue with taking a Bonito. I will show you that after I do one clear of this. So I'm bringing 3 parties. I'm only going to use the first 2. So let's jump in real fast, and I'll show you why I picked some of these characters. For this first team, we're just going to skill damage down this first boss. So that's entirely the reason I brought these characters. They're just characters that have nukes. There's probably better choices, but I just grabbed the first ones that came to mind because it's honestly not that tricky. So first thing to do, let's just get our summon out of the way. Now, you would think I would want to save my summon for the next fight, since it's both for turn 1, but your summons actually reset between this fight and the next fight, even though you don't take a turn, which is weird, but that's how it works. So that's the thing you can keep in mind. Also, if you haven't seen this already, there's a giant switch party button. You can switch out for any other party. Does not advance the turn, but does have a 3-turn cooldown after you do it. So don't switch willy-nilly, because you're going to be stuck with the next team until the cooldown goes away. So let's cast all our skills, and a thing to remember if you're having trouble, if you're right on the cusp of doing enough damage, is skill order matters. In that, certain skills do things like lower defense or buff your attack. You want to cast those first. Make sure you're doing things in a proper skill order, because if you don't have a lot of skill damage, then you might be right on the line. Skill order might actually make a difference for folks. So I use Princess Longji first because she gives me a Deluge Crest, which makes everyone attack for a little bit more, just with this setup. So that's why I use the summon first. I'm going to cast my Mist effect to lower attack and defense. Do that first, that's essential. And then Water Vera here, Vera and Caterpillar, have a water defense down, so I'm casting that next in order to get the most out of all my casts. Then we'll do our nuke, reset, and then we'll just continue forward, cast all things. And you know what? There's probably a better order to do this in, but I'm not so close to the line in damage that it's going to really matter. So let's cast all the other things. And these characters just here for a nukes. That's the only reason I brought them. So now we're in the next fight. And as you can see, my summons have reset. So I'm not going to summon yet, because I will switch my team. But first, before I do that, I want to cast Kukuru's stuff, because one of Kukuru's things... Well, they're both nukes, so I'll get some more damage. I believe Kukuru also lowers defense. So get her stuff up. And again, if you're close to having just enough damage, that might make the difference. We're switching our second team. Obviously, I'm going to finish this out with charge attacks, but I'm also going to nuke. So, Licia, her 2 is a death down and a water death down, stacking. And Altair, attack up, and defense down as well. I probably should cast that first, but yeah, whatever. Then we'll use Rhea, all her stuff, her nuke. We'll buff Silva, because Silva's going to charge attack for about a hojillion damage. That's a real number. Look it up. And then you notice I'm short on charge bar, but I have the Makula Maria summon, so I'm actually not short on charge bar, because she will give me enough. And now we should be able to smash this out with charge attacks. Probably not going to get past Altair. Might not even get past Silva. Oh, it did. Alright, Altair finishes out. That's how you do that fight. I have well more than enough extra damage to kill this thing still, so that's where I am. But if you've got less of an established grid, it might be tricky for you. So, advice there, remember skill order. Remember to cast things that will enable later characters to do more damage. And just go look through all your characters, figure out which ones do the most skill damage, and that will help get you over if you're just short a little bit of damage on that. So here's the Bonito thing real quick, because I think a lot of people misunderstand how Bonito works, and it might trip them up here. So people usually use Bonito to give them full charge bar on everyone in order to one-turn kill Unite and Fight. So you would think Bonito's call is give everyone full charge bar. However, it's not. That's not what Bonito does. Bonito's call is actually slight chance to give everyone full charge bar. It's not 100%. So why do people use a Unite Fight? How does that even work? Do they just get really lucky? No. It's because if Bonito's FLB, he puts this effect on Jita, which makes it so all the call effects are guaranteed to happen. So that's why it works 100% of the time in that circumstance. However, if you were to do this, switch out, and now call Bonito, you only have a chance for it to give you charge bar. Watch it actually give you charge bar. Okay, it didn't. It's not 100% if you do it that way, because you need Jita to be in front with that buff in order to make all the call effects happen. So you can play around that by timing things differently, but note that that's an issue. In case you go in here for the first time looking for the Bonito call to go off and it doesn't go off, and you're like, what? That's why. Okay, I haven't heard anybody say they've had a lot of trouble with the second area. However, this final mission might trip some people up. It certainly did for me, hence why I'm doing it now. So, the first 2 missions, finish 7-1 with skill, finish 7-2 with skill. These are easier than you might think, because they don't actually say anything about doing it in one turn. So you can just beat the boss down as low as you want, and then switch in a team full of nukers and just nuke the sucker down. So, like, I believe for the dark one, I switched in this team, which is it's Lucio, Haomao, Tuyen, Gunzoe, Gunny. They all have tons of nukes that hit for a lot, so just get them to like 10% and then just switch his team in and nuke them down. Like, pretty simple there. You might miss a couple times and have to try again because you underestimate or overestimate the damage, but not that hard. This last boss, though, puts a shield on herself when she gets, I think, below 50. That makes her take 90% less charge attack damage. And because of that, we're going to bring some specialized teams. So the issue is that shield makes it really hard to charge attack her down without getting her really, really, really low. And, you know, you could do that. You get her like 1% and then charge attack and you'll kill her even through the shield. But an easier way is just to remove the shield. And to remove it, you have to deal 30 hits in one turn. So if you've done Battle System 2.0, you know how to do that by now. But I'm bringing some teams specifically built for that because we can for this, because we can switch teams in and out. So I'll cut ahead once I'm prepped a little bit more so you don't have to watch all the prep, but I'll catch you on the other side of the cut. Alright, our main team here is exclusively set up to deal a ton of hits, and I try to use characters I don't always use, just to give you an idea of other characters that do work. So normally I'd run tag team, yada yada, Echo, Narmaya, all that shit. But this time I'm going to do it differently. I'm just going to run a Warlock, put Chaser on everybody, gives everyone Echo, and then Pengi's going to attack 5 gajillion times. Narmaya's going to nuke for 8 hits, and then Echo for 5 gajillion hits, and Freyheit is going to be a little cute kitty. And Dante's there too. But Freyheit does, they do attack without using a turn, so they can tag team themselves to get the hits. But the goal is just to use other characters. However, that's what they're here for, just to deal hits. So I just want them to deal hits to remove that charge attack damage shield. So what we're actually going to do is swap to our team 3, which is our charge attack team. And this team, we're going to just build charge bar on them. This first boss is easy peasy, lemon squeezy, no worries here. We should just be able to smash his face off. And if he gives us any trouble at all, this team's not a terrible team either. It'll be fine. But I'm pretty sure he's going to do a little bit of damage. Actually, he's got a... Can I dispel you, buddy? Do you really get the spell? It's been so long since I've used these characters. I want to save Kag's buffs. Do I not have a dispel on this team? It's fine. It's fine. We're just going to kill it. It's fine. The goal here is to build charge bar. So, and also to run down this switch cooldown. So I'm going to get everybody to 100%. Switch back to my other team. Kill this thing. Use the other team to beat up the boss until I can get it into range for the shield. Break the shield. Switch this team back. That whole song and dance. So this team's good to go. Let's switch back to this team. Also, it nuked Pengi on the way in, so none of that. You don't get to kill Pengi. What are you doing? Who do you think you is? Alright, we're just gonna def down it. Nuke it. Do I want to kill it with Narmaya? I want to save Narmaya's burst. I would just kill it with Narmaya. I should have saved Narmaya's nukes, but we'll have plenty of hits. It's fine. We're just gonna Narmaya this asshole and keep on going. I don't got time for this nonsense. Get out of here, you jive-ass sucker. Okay. So. Now. It's a go time. Let's beat this idiot down as far as we can. Once she gets the shield up, we'll break it. Then we'll swap another team to finish her. Man, it's been so long since I've run some of these characters. Hold on. Which one's which? Okay, that's the buff. That's the attack. That's the deal triple. So we're going to use the buff. Because we want to, like, you know, do damage to this guy. Put your stupid shield up. I freaking dare you. Put your shield up. Put your shield up, coward. Put your freaking shield up. Get him, Freyheit. Get this idiot. I don't want to take it too low. Like, there is the actual danger that if I take it too low, I might kill it trying to take the shield off. How dare you? How dare you actually do damage to me? What is this buff? Bonus water damage? 2 million earth skill damage. How about I just... Okay, we're charge checking this guy. Forget it. We're charge checking him. I've had enough of this shit. This boss basically has omens. Okay, so now they're low. Hopefully not too low, but we should be fine. I'm just a little worried that I'm not gonna kill it just trying to remove the buff. Unless I do, in which case it's gonna be hella awkward. Okay, now they're putting the buff up. So this thing, charge attack damage is cut by 90%. Can only be removed by dealing 30 hits. How dare you, frankly. We'll put Chaser on. Pengi, you need to restore your PN. And then Pengi's just gonna go to town on this guy. So there's 6, 7, 14, 21. Then we'll make you get guaranteed charge attack. There's 28. Then I'll nuke you with this thing. There you go. Remove the shield. Switch in this team. Do I even need to... You know what? I'm gonna make sure. It would be hella awkward if I didn't actually kill this guy. So let's just get all the buffs up. I just want to... There's no way I don't kill this guy. Paranoid now. Wolfrayer, for good measure. To make sure Golden Knight has enough to double activate. Alright, it's dead. It's fine. We're there. It's good. Ha! Yeah, we got this. Golden Knight's not gonna get to charge shot. Solid Snake calls in the drone strike, and we're good. There's that mission done. So yeah, that that's not hard to figure out. But if you are stumbling on it, just know you can bring teams that will be able to clear the shield through hits, just like any Bow 2.0 System 2.0 Omen. And once you do that, you can just charge Shack to Heart's Content and kill it. And that's how you clear that one. So onwards to the next floor. Okay, here we are. Layer of Nature's Cradle. This is Area 3. The first fight I've heard people comment on is 10-1, so let's jump into it real quick. And I actually misunderstood what's going on here as well. So, the thing you'll immediately notice is one of these things has a bunch of immunities. This second Locust is immune to plane damage, nullifies the next attack, is taking 100% less damage, and nullifies damage cuts. Basically, you can't hurt it. It just won't take any damage. So how do you get past this floor? You just have to apply burn to it. Like, there's a myriad of ways to apply burn to something. But burn will tick for damage even though he's got all that shit up. And with a burn up, you can actually just wait it out. You put the burn on, burn lasts up to 3 minutes, just keep attacking and refreshing, and eventually a burn will kill it. It does about 10% per turn with an agony burn, so it's not going to be too bad. If you have trouble applying burn, there's a ton of things in Fire that will apply burn. Various skills, I believe Xeno, Ifrit Axe, Charge Attack will apply burn. Applying burn shouldn't be hard, but if you have trouble finding a source of burn, just mention in the comments, and I'm sure someone will help you out. I'll just show you what... Oh, actually, we're going to stun this first turn, kill this first idiot, and then we'll burn the second one, and you can see. I don't think Sun applies burn. No, Sun does not apply burn. You get out of here, you jackass sucker. Why do I keep saying that? That's something my ex-wife used to say. Okay. Mimamel and Alanon doing Mimamel and Alanon things. That thing's dead. Okay, now this guy, completely immune to damage, as you just saw. So all you gotta do is drop a dot on it. And yes, the reason I didn't... I mentioned a comment before that its health just goes down. I believe that's from Alanon. But a burn will speed things up. So we're gonna Agni it. And yes, it's taking 0 damage, but at end of turn, it's gonna take damage from those various effects. So yeah. Let's just speed this thing up. We'll just kill this guy on the screen. Hope you're ready to watch me refresh a lot. You don't need to do anything else. In fact, don't charge check because it's just gonna slow everything down. Just give up, buddy. There's no way out of this one. I'm not gonna refresh because I wanna watch you die. It's a weird thing to say, Jessica. Take that, idiot. And that's how you do that floor. It's pretty simple once you look at it, but it's not innately obvious that DOTs work on that boss, because it's immune to freaking everything else. So there you go, pro tip. Okay, a fight that's definitely gonna trip people up, myself included the first time I did it, is 12-1. So as mentioned in the previous video, when you get to Wave 2, this boss will actually one-shot your entire team. There might be a way to avoid it, but all I do is I just take a team into Wave 1 that I don't care about getting one shot, and I clear a first wave of it, get in Wave 2, they die, and then the proper team switches in. However, there's also a particularly tricky hits trigger you need to break on that second boss. So we'll cover all of that. But yeah, it's gonna take specific characters and probably a few tries to get this one right. So first things first, save all these characters because they're going to be for a second boss. We're going to switch in this team, which is a fine team, nothing wrong with any of these characters, but I just care about them for the sake of killing this idiot. So they can get to the next area and take one for the team. So we're just going to use everything. If I recall correctly, this guy doesn't do anything. By the way, Zeta nukes for days. She's got a double delay here, but I'm just using it for damage. She has so much freaking nuke damage. Look at that, it's almost 20% just nukes, and she has an assassin up. Like Zeta. I mean, me. Totally legit character. So the thing I do want to do is... Actually, do I really need to wait out the turn counter? Because I don't think I need to switch right away anyway, so it's probably fine. Probably gonna take 3 turns to kill this thing as well, so it's fine. Yule is... or not Yule, you're... Usis. The opposite of Yule. Okay, so let's unlock the others. So Scorned, Moonless Dawn, all your stuff. You're not low health threshold, make your peace. She's such a gangster, I love her. And yeah, we'll just use a summon. I'm running Ixaba, so I don't really want, like, it's not to my benefit to lower her her HP like that, but it's fine. How dare you almost kill Zeta? I don't want to use anything on this floor, so... Interesting thing to note, by the way, you saw Alanon's thing trigger right there, even though Alanon's not in the back row, obviously, because there is no back row. I guess the way that works is Alanon still count as being back row, even though technically he's front row on another team. So that's an interesting thing potentially for bringing invokers to these fights. Let's get serious. But yeah, this first fight's no problem. Yeah, I would have thought Uis's self-enmity stuff would outweigh the fact that I'm turning off Ixaba's, but apparently not. You can tell I don't run her a lot. I just wanted to run her because, you know, I like the character and I haven't run her yet, so... Alright, we're not going to use any summons, we're going to save them. Now this next floor, though, is gonna be legitimately difficult for a lot of people based on what you've got. Because you're gonna have to clear a 70 hits trigger. I'll show you when we get there. You don't technically need to clear it, it's not a trigger, it's a buff. but it's definitely going to be better if you can clear it. Alright, kill my gods, it's fine, see if I care. Alright, you're gonna get a charge jack off, aren't you? Yes, you are. Okay, you dare kill everybody. Nice try. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next floor. And everyone's gonna just immediately get creamed by this boss. My face the first time this happened. Major what the fuck moment when this happened. What a jerk. There might be a way to survive that. If you had enough health, you'd probably just outlast that, but yeah. Okay, so this thing, defense boosted, can't be removed, ends upon taking 70 hits in one turn. That's a monstrously large amount of hits to have to deal. So that's potentially gonna be an issue for some folks. And if you want strats on how to do it, my tip would be make a team that has a ton of multi-hit characters. So all these characters here have skills that deal a ton of hits. In addition to that, if you really are having trouble, bring a Quillin, because Quillin will let you reset all their multi-hit stuff. That's still probably not going to be enough on its own to get you all the way there. So let's just spend 3 turns, because I also want my switch to be back up. So let's use stuff that doesn't deal any hits, which is that, basically. So, yeah. We're just going to take a few turns, it's fine. Now, I would say it's probably possible, I would be shocked if it's not, to just kill this boss even with that buff up. I haven't tried that, but I would suspect the complete brute force method would totally work. I'm gonna damage cut this, because no, I got things to do, buddy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you played this just like a real hard, like high defense fight, you could probably just kill the thing through that shield. So if you have trouble with hits, that would be my recommendation there. If you really charm Tien, that's fine. I don't care, you jerk. So I'm not going to wait for the Quillins, but if you need to wait for Quillins, you can also delay on the previous floor. Okay, now the switch is up, so we're going to go for it. Now, the annoying thing about this is it's not a Battle System 2.0 fight. So you can't actually get a count, an accurate count on how many hits you've dealt. So we're just going to have to count ourselves. So this is 8. And then this is, how many is this even? That's 6, so that's 14. There's 15. There's 20. 21. 22. 23. That's 33 right there. I'm gonna swap in this team. There's 35. A lot of, I mean, the whole 2 hits. You could actually bring, like, I think decimate for 5 instead of 2. Let's do all our Alanon stuff. What did I say we were at? 35? Okay, now Alanon, activate all that. That's 36. And then 37. 38. Okay, we still have to deal a lot of hits. However, we brought tools for that. I brought Yule specifically as Yule gets everyone Echo, thereby doubling their hits. Remember, everyone is also guaranteed tripling because of Alanon. So we need to deal 38, right? Let's also use Mimlamel's Assassin and all that right now, because why not? So we'll use the Sun as well, because now everyone's also double striking. And then, put the nail in the coffin, I also brought Fire Lucha, so we're also going to tag team. So I dealt 38 hits, so I need to deal 32 more, and this is probably enough right here. Maybe not. I have no idea how many that was. Did we remove it? Not yet. However, we still get to attack, so let's do our attacking turn. Because that was just a tag team. This is definitely enough. Someone give me a count. Someone give me a count. Because remember, the Sun doesn't activate on tag team. The Sun does activate when you actually attack. That's why I attacked so many more times that time. And then, bam, buff's gone. Also, things debuffed to shit. So let's just go fast. So that's how I do it. I want to say that was something like 90 hits. That might have been over 90 hits. I'm not gonna go through the footage and do a count because it would take for freaking ever. But if someone wants to give me a count, I'm legitimately curious. So that's how you clear 70 hits. Obviously, you're gonna have to see what characters you have in order to do it. Because I brought what I had. Note, I did not use the Quillin. So if I needed more hits, I could have used Quillin. With Quillin, I would have probably been something like 110, 120 hits, I want to say. So, like, those are all options. But yeah, I would also suspect it's probably going to be a huge slug, but I would suspect you can kill the guy with the buff on. If anybody's tried that, let me know how it went. Because this thing does heal itself, so that might be a little bit of an issue. You want to try that strategy. But yeah, to recap there, bring a team full of multi-hit nukers. If you've got an MLB Quillin, bring your MLB Quillin. Set yourself up so you can use your entire team of nukers and then transition into your main team, which should have more nukers or characters that grant Echo. And your main character should be a luchador. And if you have Alanon, then prep your Alanon going into this final fight, so you can just use Alanon's 2. If you've got Mimlamel, then you can just activate it and go. So there you go, that's how you do that fight. That one's going to be very sensitive to what you have available, though. So, moving on. Next up is floor 15 without any deaths. This one shouldn't be too bad. We'll just try and go full nonsense dark on it. Alright, you know what I'm about to do here. You've seen it before. I'm not entirely sure that this is going to work on this boss, but we're going to try it. I'm partly concerned because I can't use death on near the guaranteed triple attack on everybody, so that might potentially lower our damage significantly. But we're going to try and burst this guy. Yoldi Dark. The Dark Special. So, typical Lucha nonsense. Let's see how low we can get him. It's not gonna be enough, I don't think. I mean, yeah, we're gonna need to do more damage than that. Then again, it's probably fine, because this will make it go faster. That thing, if it hits you, I believe one-shots the character. So keep that in mind, that's fun. So we're just gonna, I think we can get to like 60%, and then we'll switch in like an actual more technical team and finish the fight out. More legit style, not that, you know, Dark Burst nonsense isn't legit, but you know what I mean. So yeah, the main thing with this guy is you don't want him to charge attack you, because that, I forgot what it's called, shadeography or something, that thing hits for approximate billion points of damage. Also, yes, I am using Sky Piercer, but I'm not using Mirror, so it won't kill me, because I'm not on 1 HP. Ooh, nice try, nice try. That guy's throwing out those shade things as regular triggers, so I think every time we burst, we're gonna have to just watch out for that. Is it every 20% you do that? Like, I can play around that. I just don't know where the triggers are. But I don't think he does much else. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm just gonna keep on trucking like this. This might be a terrible idea. Come on, man. You're just like a footnote in my night. I got a whole ass another fight to do after this, so you could just, like, get out of the way. That'd be great. Is there a 50% trigger? I feel like there's probably a 50% trigger. Mirrored Sparia. Ooh, that was a lot of damage. That was a lot of damage. Ooh, Sky Piercer almost killed me. Reflex damage cannot be removed. Well, I think that's a sign that we need to switch teams. Do we want this team or this team? I think I want this team for now. So I gotta be careful, because I don't want to blow my own face off with a nuke. I don't know how much that reflects for, though. But I bet you I can... Can I dodge the reflect? Can I just nuke with Shalem anyway? That would... You know what, I'm not gonna risk it. What turn am I on? I forgot what turn I'm on. Let's just attack. It's gonna be for no damage. That's not much of a reflect at all. That's a tiny reflect. Little baby reflect. Little baby reflect. I'm gonna regret talking shit to this guy, but I don't care, it's fine. Baby reflect. You didn't even reflect that. What freaking turn are we on? I keep forgetting to check. It's fine. Yeah, well, I don't care about your stupid reflect then. Oh, nice 0 damage. Okay, I was worried. I was thinking it was like a reflect like on Marigna? No, not Marigna. The other Garuda, where she like reflects and you deal like 100k to yourself and just one shot yourself. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I'm gonna give you the Frygeist, the triple strike. The main thing I'm worried about is eating a stupid trigger, because I don't know where they are. We've been so spoiled by Battle System 2.0 that, like, this whole not knowing when the trigger's coming thing is really annoying. Also, this whole not doing any damage because, like, this boss is not actually doing any damage to me thing is also very annoying. Apparently Frygeist didn't give me triple strike because it wasn't it wasn't turn 10 yet. What turn are we on? I'm gonna watch this time, I promise. I'm doing so little damage. Is this what it feels like? I said I was gonna check what turn it was, and I totally did. We're slowly turning our enmity on with this reflect. It's turn 11. So I think, yeah, I think we're gonna Quillin it up in here. You know what? I wonder if I could just switch to my main team, then Quillin, then just go turbo ham. It's fine with Quillin here, though. Don't want to risk it. So this should be a double delay, right? Yep. This should be nice, nice, nice. Cast all things. Nuke this idiot. Put this on Livia. In case. Now, Fry Guys. Should be a triple strike. And we'll Ghost Cage ya. I can't get over how little damage I'm dealing because my enmity is off. Feels so bad. Feels so bad. It's fine. You have a 25% trigger. I'm real mad you got a 25% trigger, buddy. Do ya? Do you? I'm so nervous about 25% trigger. I almost want to swap teams, even though this one's all buffed up with the Quillen and whatnot. If I switch to the other team that could use Kalulu to sub, because she's got guts, so if there is a trigger, there it is. Ah, yes, the mirror image. Or did you just regular miss? I think you just might have missed out of being an idiot. Sorry, you're not an idiot, you're a very friendly ghost. Okay, I think what we're gonna do, yeah, a little bit lower. A little bit lower. We're gonna swap to main team, Quillen, and then just finish this. I mean, do we even need to? Olivia. That's who you're gonna use it on. Before you ask about Visaraga, this thing does have an attack that pierces Visaraga's feel no pain. So, sad day. Can't do that. Taking forever, man. This is what I get for being cautious. It feels so weird playing cautiously with Enmity Dark. You have a 10% trigger, that would be some shit if you did. You do have it. You do have a trigger. How dare you? How dare you? Just for that. Just for that. Just for that, buddy. Oh, by the way, someone was asking, do skills cool down while your team is off screen? Apparently the answer is yes, because these guys all had 0 skill, unless the Quillen reset them while off screen. Which would be some shit. That would be so broken. Oh my god, if that were the case. I don't know though. I haven't checked. Literally the first time I thought about it. So if you know, let me know, because I'm curious now. Okay, this is that idiot done. There's one more mission, and then I'll meet you on the other side of the cut for the final boss. What is the reward from this? It's earrings, isn't it? Earrings, isn't it? Right? Oh, it's an intricacy ring. We're running out of earrings, but that's fine. Just this guy left to go. We'll talk about on the other side of the cut. Alright, we got through the mission. This mission is super frustrating. So recap, we're on floor 16 of Tower of Babyl, final floor. The mission is to get through both these bosses without anybody dying. So it is, to be honest, super RNG to pull that off. There are a couple triggers in here that if they decide to just target one person, well, you're starting over. And there's also a bunch of parts here that are really timing sensitive, so I will be pausing to explain as we go. But let me just explain the team I'm running first. So I initially tried this with Dark, and Dark can blow through this first boss, no problem. There's various things you can do, Dark stuff. This first boss is not an issue. The second boss is the issue if you're running dark and really any other element, because the second boss has huge plane damage triggers and charge attacks, like 40k plus. It's enough plane damage going out that you would be hard pressed if you're running any element besides what I'm gonna do here. And just trying to beat the fight through playing defensively and safe and healing people and delaying the stuff. Because every time the boss gets full charge diamonds, it's going to be like 40k plane coming out. And then various triggers, you're going to hit them, and it's going to be 40k plane coming out. And sooner or later, it's going to clip someone and just kill them. So remember, you can't lose anybody. To clear this, that's not that big a deal, because yeah, some people get plane damage to death. It's fine. You just keep on going. You got 12 people. Just keep on throwing more bodies in front of the boss, and you'll be fine. To get through without anybody dying, well, that takes what I'm using here. So if you don't recognize this gal, it's been a while since she's been meta, but that's Toyin, Song, Silva's girlfriend. So her big thing back in the day was people used to use her on Bahamut HL, and I'll let this play forward while I talk, because she can paralyze for 60 seconds. So the boss just doesn't do anything for 60 seconds. If you use her ultimate after paralyzing, it extends it by 90 seconds. So now you have 2.5 minutes to just freely attack the boss. So you can see where this is going. So first thing to know about this first boss. This first boss is completely debuff immune. You can't delay it, you can't mist it, you can't do any of that stuff. You can dispel it. That's important to note. The second boss is completely debuff, not immune. You can hit whatever debuff you want and it's gonna stick. So you can see why para will be strong on the second boss, because you can just para it. However, getting to the second boss and being able to para it requires a lot of setup. So that's what this first part of the fight is all about. I'm not using this initial team here to actually kill this boss. They're just here because I've got to do setup at the beginning of this fight for the next fight. So we're galaxy braining it here. We're like 5 steps ahead. Like you know, we're playing chess with this boss. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And the two things that have to happen in order for Toyin to para, she needs to first charge check, and that gives her a buff called, I think, Bring the Thunder, and makes her clincher paralyzed for 60 seconds. Now, 60 seconds is not enough to kill the second boss, unless you are Turbo Whale running like 12 Edens or something. And even then, you'd be hard-pressed to kill it in 60 seconds. So we need to extend it. And the thing is, the debuff extension is her ultimate. And all the Eternal ultimates have a 10-turn ready time. And that ready time does not tick down unless their party is active. So that's an important thing to note about this whole switch party thing. So we've got to use her for at least 9 turns, I would say. You want to get it so she enters the second fight with full charge bar, ideally, or almost full charge bar, and her ultimate either completely off cooldown or like a turn away from off cooldown. So we're trying to set all that up here, and then we'll be ready going into the next floor, not the next fight, to do all the stuff we need to do there. So I'll let this play forward, but the tricky part is this guy hits real hard and has his own triggers you got to worry about. So the first thing we got to worry about here is he casts this buff that gives him huge damage up and triple attack up, for guaranteed triple basically, for 3 turns. They're 2 buffs, and remember, you can dispel them. So the big first step here is at 85% he will cast that buff, but also if he's full charge diamonds he will cast that buff. So if you can pull it off, if you can get him to 85%, basically on the same turn he would spend all his diamonds to charge attack, then you buy yourself some time, because he'll use his charge diamonds and the trigger will go off at the same time, and basically he'll only buff himself once. If you push slowly, then he'll buff himself, and then you'll dispel something, and then he'll buff himself again, and your spell goes to waste. So I can't actually remember if I managed to get him to 85 here. We'll see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I get him to 85 here. So that works out. There are numerous tries where I did not, and we just barely get him to 85. So here comes the buff, Mass Confusion. Weird name for what this buff does. So that's a huge buff. So I'm bringing Dispel, and notice the Dispel only hit the triple attack. It will only ever hit the triple attack. You need 2 Dispels to take the whole thing off. But that's fine. That's what I want. Because while the damage buff is significant, him tripling with the damage buff is rough. You don't want to take a lot of turns while he's doing both. Because if he's tripling with the damage up, he's going to just kill someone randomly. That's one of the RNG factors. Now, switching to Spartan also let me main hand Rongo Miniad, and Rongo Miniad gives the whole team mirror image on charge attack, which is super helpful here. So again, we're just trying to buy time in order to get Twain all ready to go. So next thing, he's got a 70% trigger called Optical Rave. I know, it sounds like a fighting game move. And it hits random targets with all kinds of element damage for a lot. That's the first super RNG thing. Because if that decides to all hit one character, they're dead. And you're going to have to start over because you're trying to get through this with no deaths. So that's the big RNG part, and part of the reason why I took Spartan, because you can phalanx it. Alternatively, if you really wanted to just trust your luck, you can just keep on trying it until just keep doing it until it doesn't target the same person. That is totally valid. So a lot of calculation going on here. I'm trying to determine whether or not I can phalanx this turn, because he's at 74, and if I phalanx early, then my phalanx is going to miss, because phalanx only lasts a turn. So I need to push him 4%, or else this is going to be rough. Just barely. The last attack on Jean pushed it to 70%. So there we go. 2 triggers have worked out perfectly so far, and honestly, you need some things to line up for this fight to go well. So I got 4 more turns of cooldown on Toyin's ultimate, so I'm gonna actually start holding charge attacks, because I also want her to have charge bar. With the amount of damage I do, I don't have a lot of wiggle room in terms of timing. So it's going to be different for everybody, depending on what your grid looks like. But it's usually super tight for me to get everything in position in time. So I'm being careful. Also, my summons, I brought a Michael, because Michael can both dispel and delay. Which, the delay doesn't help on this guy, but does help on the second boss if you mess up your timing. Okay, so now she's full charge bar. And I believe she's, what, 1 turn off ultimate? That sounds right. So, at this point, I'm switching in my team 2. And the reason here is I need to get Io online and ready to go, because she's got a thing to deal with at 15%. So, we're thinking 5 steps ahead. We're Sherlocking this. We're like playing chess. We're seeing the code. We know where we're planning ahead, 5 steps ahead of this jackass. So yes, I gotta get Io to where Staff of Hope is off cooldown, and she needs to have 3 stacks of Mystic Vortex. So that's my task with Io, and that's what I'm trying to prep here. Now, exacerbating all of this is the fact that switching has a 3-turn cooldown. So sometimes, there's several attempts where I would switch in a team, get them ready, and then need to switch to another team, but couldn't because of the cooldown. There's so many things that you can get wrong that will mess up your timing. So I'm not pushing super hard damage either. Notice that I haven't used Zoe's nukes. One, I'm trying to save them, but also I'm trying not to push this boss too far too fast. So I save Vera's Dispel because we knocked triple off, so that saves us a lot of damage there. So at this point, the next thing I need to worry about is at 30%. So right now, I'm trying to figure out, can I get everything in position in time? Now, the issue is, the team I'm going to swap in to take the 30% thing doesn't do a lot of damage. So I want to get this thing pretty far down in order to have time, in order to not have to sit with the third team and play too long, because they just don't do a lot of damage. And if you don't do a lot of damage, you're going to let the boss stack too many buffs, and it's just going to attrition you down. So we still need to push reasonably fast. So, right, what's going on here is I'm trying to push enough damage to the point where bringing in my final team is gonna not be an issue. So I need to get it close to 30. But I need to not get so... There's so many things to consider. I need to not get so close to 30 that the switch timer doesn't have time to cool down, because then I won't be able to switch back to IO. So a lot of things going on here. Also, I'm bringing double Quillin. I think I only use one, but Quillin super invaluable. So at this point, I'm right on track. Like, if you notice me pause in game, it's because I'm just trying to figure out if I can push harder, or if I need to push more or push less, because the timing is sensitive. So 30% is the next thing to worry about. So at this point, I switch in my third team, and I'll explain this one too. So I'm running basically a Nuki team with this guy, Batorda, I think his name is, and I'm only running him because he has basically his own phalanx. It's like a 60% phalanx. And I need to do that because there's another Optical Rave at 30. And I don't really want to risk it just randomly one-shotting somebody, because it has done that several times. So that's why I eventually switched to bring this idiot in. And it works. It's not pretty, but he does his job. And you know what? Mad props to him for doing his job. So the issue of this team is it doesn't do a lot of damage. So pushing the last 10% to 30 is going to be a little bit of a trick. That's why I brought Robomi in, actually, because Robomi actually is very good for short bursts. And Lucio nukes for a lot of damage, so he is helpful for pushing. Saranan also closes things out by having a heal and a nuke, both which can be doubled up with his 4, so all that's good. His damage cut's only dark, but because Optical Rave is a random element, that can work out. So 3%. So the thing I'm looking at here is, can I push to 30% this turn? Because here, I'll pause a second. Because if I try and push to 30%, I need to phalanx. I need to use Batorda's phalanx. Because if I don't phalanx the 30% and I hit it, I could lose someone to Optical Rave. However, if I phalanx and I don't get the 30%, then I waste the phalanx, and then I'm in a little bit of a pickle. So that's why I'm being so careful trying to figure out here. I'm also trying to preserve my Quillin, because I could Quillin, reset everyone's nukes, and nuke the 30%, but I'm saving it just to be careful here. And in retrospect, that was the right thing to do, because if I did miss on this phalanx, I could also just Quillin to reset the phalanx. So overall, maybe I probably big-brained this one too much. But we managed to push past 30%, so it's not a big deal. Here's the Optical Rave. And we're fine. Okay, next thing to worry about is 15%. Because 15%, I forget what the name of the trigger is. He plane damages somebody for like 100k. It will kill you. There's no real way to survive it. So that's why I was prepping IO, because we're gonna use machine gun IO to basically skill damage this thing all the way to dead from 15%. We'll skill damage it close to dead, then take a turn, because we do need to get our switch again ready. So we're at 21%, and this is another dicey part. We want to get close to 15%, because IO can only nuke for so much. But we don't want to accidentally push into 15%, because if we do, we're starting over, because that is going to kill somebody. Alright, so the thing we're trying to hit, exactly 5%, well, yeah, exactly enough damage to get right up to 15%. So I'm going to auto here, and, you know, I'll pause here. I did 2% there. I could, in theory, attack again and try and get even closer to 15%. That's risky, because if I actually hit 15, I'm basically dead. So that's why, like, the video's still playing. I'm just pausing here because I'm just mulling over my choices. You can tell I had to do this many times to get everything ready. Okay, so we're doing Mystic Vortex, Staff of Hope, all that stuff, and you get to see Io and all her glory. She nukes for so much damage. You don't know how she works. While Staff of Hope's up, every time someone uses a skill, it gives her a stack. When it hits 5 stacks, she auto nukes. She casts Flowery 7 like she just did for about 4 mil. So we're just using everything to proc Flowery 7. You don't need Quillen to do this, but Quillen makes it a lot easier, because you might be short damage otherwise. Because remember, you got guaranteed triple on everyone with Vera, so like you've got a bunch of damage from attack too, but we're just being safe with Quillen. So, thing to note here. As you can see, I've got 2 turns left on my switch. The next boss has 2 charge diamonds, and then it blows someone's face off with like 40k plane. So you don't want to enter the second fight with 3 turns left, because if you do, then you're kind of screwed. Because unless you have some way to delay, which I don't, I have a Michael delay. I added that specifically for this reason, just in case. But I did definitely get to the second fight all set up, and the specific error I made was I had too many turns left on the switch, and I couldn't switch to Toyin in time to para, and I just ate 40k plane and lost someone head start over. That was super annoying. So the goal here, we're trying to kill this guy, but we're also trying to give ourselves enough room that we can still take a turn to tick down that turns left thing a little bit. So it's on 3%, 2%. This is as close as I can safely get. Another nuke might kill him, so I can attack from this point. Because there's no way I don't do 2%. Alright, so we're on to the next fight. And here we go. This, I think getting properly set up in this fight, I only got properly set up in this fight, like, out of 10 attempts, I got here like 3 times, messed it up twice, and then the 3rd time I got it, so. Okay, this freaking worm. Let's do this. By the way, I'm going to be refreshing a lot, so deal with it, because I wasn't about to risk running out of para time. So we're just going to try and do as much damage as we can here. There's a 70% trigger, so you don't want to push it to 70%, because then you're also screwed, because it's just going to plain damage somebody. But you do want to push it as far as possible, because you don't want to try and take it from 100% to 0 in one para. I mean, you probably could do it, para does last a long time, but that's a lot of risk. A lot of risk. And honestly, I've effed this up so many times. Trying to get through this, that I wasn't about to take that risk, so I'm just being safe, nuking as much as I can. Alright, now we can switch. Might as well use the Michael to delay it. Because remember, if it manages to charge attack, we're effed, because someone's going to die to the plane damage. So we're switching in our team. I believe at this point, yeah, I've got a charge attack now to get Clincher in position to para, and that's perfect because we've got 1 turn left on the ultimate cooldown. I remember, first boss is completely debuff immune. This boss is like completely vulnerable to every debuff you can throw on it. Well, except for instant death. I assume you can't insta-death this boss. That would be hilarious if all he had to do was insta-death this boss, but I'm pretty sure that don't work. So I'm saving all my buffs and stuff to get maximum alignment of them with the para, just to make sure the para lasts long enough. Because remember, if it comes out of para at low health, it's just going to trigger immediately and, again, kill somebody. So that's what we're doing here. And yeah, I'm not in any danger of pushing it into the 70% trigger. I think it's a 70% trigger. If it was an 80% trigger, then then yikes, scary. Okay, so Clincher now will para. So I'm gonna Clincher last because we want to get the maximum para time. Because remember, para, like several debuffs, like Mist and whatnot, is time based, not turn based. It lasts a certain amount of real time. So you've got to be quick, which is also why I'm refreshing when I get into here. So we're just getting everything ready to go, and then we're just going to para, extend it, and fucking go. Just hit the gas. There's the Clincher, there's the para, we're extending it, and then we are going. There's the extension. We have 2.5 minutes from this point. You can check your watches, see how close I actually came. I haven't actually looked. Let me look at the video. It's like about 2 minutes of footage left. So yeah, we actually come pretty close to messing this up just because para only lasts 2.5 minutes. We're only stopping the castings that are gonna significantly boost our damage. So we're not nuking, we're not doing any of that shit. We're doing the guaranteed triple from Jean, the echo from Halmal, and then we're just going. Para seems OP. Para's pretty powerful. There's a reason it doesn't work on bosses anymore. Like, it was how they did Bahamut HL back in the day. Because you could do this shit with like 18 people. Because Para's raid, like, for the whole raid. But yeah, we're flying past all kinds of triggers that would kill somebody because the boss can't do anything since it's parried. I am legitimately curious. I'm sure someone's probably already done it or put a video up. I'll look after this. But I'm really curious how people have been doing this if they don't use Toy and Para. Like, I know well enough that this community manages to pull off some crazy shit, so maybe someone's figured out how to do this boss without para. But I feel like for 95% of people, you're gonna need a Toyin in order to do this mission. A 5-star Toyin in order to do this mission. 15%. Weird. If you guys are checking your watches, let me know how much time I've got left, because I feel like it's been almost 2 minutes. And I don't even wait. I don't even wait to see if this attack kills it. I'm just F it. We refresh into it. There we go. Boom. Killed him. Got all the missions done. Oh, I'll see you on this cut. I need a drink. Someone's going to ask. This is the Dridas running for that floor 16 clear. Alright. That congratulations up there feels real good. Because that was not an easy mission to do. And, yep, look at all those completes. Feels good. And yep, 4-4 unlocked, 4-4 mastered. Mastered. Congratulations. Ah, yeah, that was very challenging, but I had fun doing it, actually. It was super frustrating while I was in the middle of it, but now that I'm done with it, that definitely extended my playtime in this event quite a bit. I know I was joking earlier that it would probably take me an hour and a half, couple of hours maybe, to finish out the masteries I was missing. However, I think I spent a good 3 to 4 hours on that last one alone. So that was rough. What did we get? I think it goes to your mailbox. Okay. Okay, you get a 10-pull ticket and a cloud combination. Cloud combinations are from Pride of the Ascendant, Proud, those fights. And you can get some really nice things from the shop with them. Let's see. I think I have it open actually. Yeah. So all the stuff on first bait's garbage. Don't trade for any of this stuff. Well, you can trade the little combinations for a cloud combination if you want. The thing you do want to trade for though is, yeah, so 3 cloud combinations gets you a sunlight stone. It's probably the biggest bang for your buck, or 2 for a Damascus ingot. Either of those are probably a good bet, but cloud combination quite hard to come by. So yeah, I guess they are considering that final mission for Tower of Babyl on the same level of difficulty as the Pride of the Ascendant fights. So, as you can see from this, getting all the missions done is gonna be taxing. It's gonna require you have very specific characters, strong grids, specific summons, and you have a really tight understanding of how the game works. So, if you're not in that position, don't worry about it. Like, do as many of the missions as you can, but you're gonna if you hit a point where you just can't do the mission, don't sweat it, because the difficulty jump when you start getting into like floor 15, floor 16 missions is significant. Overall, I think the event's great. Definitely not so friendly for newer players, but hopefully what we've talked about can get you through some of the missions you've been stuck on. And yeah, let me know if any of this stuff helped. I've got to go play Honkai Impact, Honkai Third Impact, because I completely skipped all my dailies to do this thing. And I gotta do that before I go to bed. So that's what I'm gonna go do now. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, like, comment, YouTube stuff, all that down below. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!